There are 2 days you have control over, the day you're born and the day you die. Every other day in life represents an opportunity to choose how you decide to live it. My guest today, Dakota Meyer, calls this Own the Dash. The dash is all the days between your date of birth and your date of death. Dakota Meyer is a retired Marine and the recipient of the highest military honor one could earn, the Medal of Honor. Today we talk about how he views the events that earned him that recognition, overcoming an attempted suicide, how he has redefined himself through living in the service of others, and how he owns the dash.
You're a man of action. You live life to the fullest, embrace your fears, and boldly chart your own path. When life knocks you down, you get back up one more time, every time. You are not easily deterred or defeated. Rugged, resilient, strong. This is your life. This is who you are. This is who you will become. At the end of the day, and after all is said and done, you can call yourself a man.
Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler, and I am the host and the founder of this podcast, The Order of Man. I am so glad that you're here with us today. We have got so much going on. If you are listening to this show the day it is being released, in 2 days, just 2 days, one of the most exciting days of my life, will be the release of my first book, Sovereignty, The Battle for the Hearts and Minds of Men. So if you would, and if you're interested and you haven't done so already, you need to head to orderofman.com/book. orderofman.com/book. You can do that in the next 2 days and download the introductory chapter for free. Outside of that, if you are interested in buying the book, you can use that same link, orderofman.com/book. I can't even begin to describe how exciting it is and all the emotions that go into pouring your heart and soul and mind and everything else into the writing of a book, and then, of course, putting it out into the public for you to see, and hopefully it will improve your life. So exciting times ahead. Outside of that, we just wrapped up our meetup in Nashville. A lot of you guys were there. It was an amazing, amazing event. We had so many great speakers, and of course, the brotherhood and the camaraderie and just the ability to rub shoulders with other guys who are on the same journey. If you weren't able to make it, I know a lot of you guys wanted to come, and I hope that you can make it to a future event. We're going to be getting you the dates on future events because we're going to start ramping up on more of these meetups because it did go over so well. So be on the lookout for that. Those will be available soon. And then outside of that, we've got our exclusive brotherhood, the Iron Council. I know I haven't talked about this a whole lot just because we've had so much going on over the past couple of months, but this is a digital band of brothers, but we've taken a lot of what we're doing online and we've actually taken it offline as we have put together some regional meetups for guys inside of the Iron Council. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on that today because we do have so much going on, but if you're interested in learning more, you can head to orderofman.com/Iron Council. That's a lot. Of course, we've got a lot going on, like I said before, but I just want to make sure I give you all of the resources. For those of you who are new, guys, this is a show about becoming a better man. It's not necessarily about all of the information, although that's important. It's about the application. And so all of the tools and the resources that we're providing to you are about taking the information that we learn here through our guest, amazing, amazing guest, and today is no different, and then using that information to apply it and enhance our lives and the lives of the people we care about. So with that said, guys, I have got an amazing guest today. This has got to be one of my favorite episodes to date. His name is Dakota Meyer. He's a Marine. I mentioned earlier he is also a Medal of Honor recipient. He's a New York Times bestselling author. He's a business owner, probably one of the most humble men that I've had the privilege of meeting. In 2009, he and his squad were ambushed by Taliban insurgents in Afghanistan. He learned that some of his team members were missing, so he went back to find them, and in the process rescued 12 wounded and provided cover for another 24 Marines and soldiers. I was absolutely blown away with his perspective on those events. I don't want to ruin the surprise, and I won't do that, but this was not what I expected. And of course, the subsequent depression, a failed suicide attempt that followed. But since then, he has gone on to found a successful construction company and has now dedicated himself to serving others and allowing others to use his platform to share messages of inspiration across this nation. So guys, sit back, buckle up. Dakota is one of the most real humans I've ever met as he shares some of his personal stories, both good and bad, that have made him who he is today. Dakota, what's up, man? Thanks for joining me on the show today.
Hey, what's going on?
Excited to have you on. I know we've bounced around a little bit, but we finally made this work. So life is busy though for you, it seems like.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, we're all over the place. It's hard to get an hour together,
It is, for sure. How's the new podcast going? Because you've got the new podcast, Own the Dash. How's that coming along?
Yeah, so it's Owning It with Dakota Meyer. I launched it 9 weeks ago, so it seems like it's doing pretty good. I was so against it. I've been so against podcasts, YouTube. I don't know. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. I don't know. It's like a mind block for me. And I started it. Everybody, they talked me into it. Actually, what got me started was I was on a Facebook Live, and I said, if you guys want me to start a podcast, if I get, I think it's like 100 or 200 comments that says start a podcast, I'll start one. And I got it, so I had to turn around and start one. So I kind of
like, oh man, I didn't really want to do that, but now I'm committed to doing that, right?
Yeah, so I did it, but what I found out is I really enjoy it, and I tell you what's really got me is the impact. I never really sit down and thought about it until I was talking to some other big podcasters, and they're like, you got to think about it. Like, people sit there and they listen to you for an hour. Like, you're riding in people's cars for an hour. And it was like, golly, I mean, I know how important an hour of my day is. And to think that people would take an hour out of their day to listen to what I have to say or what I bring to the table, it just blew me away, the thought of it. I got that probably about 4 weeks in, and I was just doing it like just as reps, like, okay, I'm going to get this. I'm going to do this because I'm doing it because I said I was going to do it. And then it kind of switched for me to do it because it's like, golly, if people are going to give me their hour, I'm going to give them everything I got. And so I love it. I mean, I've had a lot of big guests on, Tim Kennedy, Shane Steiner, who's a country music singer, a businessman. I mean, just great at a lot of things. And then, you take Aubrey Marcus, you take, Jocko's going to come on. I mean, you just,
I think you're going on to Jocko's podcast too, right?
I am. I'm going to go on Jocko's podcast the first week of February. So, just to be able to do this and be able to be, I mean, and just like you, I mean, having me on, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, it's awesome, man. It's cool.
I like how I think you reached out to Jocko on Twitter, right?
I did.
Said, hey, how do I get on your show?
I did. I look up to Jocko. He's got one video that's really hit home, and I probably watch it twice a day.
Which one is that?
It's the one where he says good.
Oh yeah, it's a great message.
It's so simple too. Like, it's not one of these complicated things. Well, your brain works this way, and if you think about it this way, and you change your thinking in the worst moments of your time, it's like, oh no, it's no bullshit. Like, it's like, just say good.
Yeah.
It is incredible. So it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome to be part of this community, and then to see how people are actually using it, right? I mean, how cool is that? I mean, how cool is it? I mean, do you sit there and think about that? I mean, how cool is it that people are like, I'm going to give you an hour of my day?
It's unreal. And it's unreal when you get a message and somebody says how the work impacted them, or you see somebody in the airport and they're like, hey man, I listened to your podcast. That to me is just wild.
I don't get paid to do my podcast.
Right.
And that's what makes it worth it. It's just hearing people write you. I mean, the messages and just saying, man, you're really changing my life. It's like, holy shit. You're changing mine. Like, it's, it's kind of like this mutual deal, right?
Interesting.
Like as much as they think that you're changing their life, like, they're really changing yours.
You seem to be a pretty humble dude. Do you think that has to do with why putting yourself out there in the podcast and YouTube and all these other channels was somewhat of a challenge for you initially?
Yeah. I mean, I have this mind block that, like, why would anybody want to listen to me? I don't really have anything to offer. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy ever, right? I mean, I don't think, like, I look in the mirror and I don't see anything to offer, you know what I mean? But what I did realize was, and it took me this long to do it, right? I mean, I got the Medal of Honor in 2011, and I've fought it for a long time of just, everybody's like, oh, well, you have a platform, and I just, no, I don't. I don't want the platform is what I kept saying, right? And so what I wanted to do is, like, I go around and I see all these incredible people, man. I see all these incredible people, like, that'll never have a platform, that are way better than I could ever be, right? I mean, they just are incredible people. So I was like, you know what I want to do? What I want to do is I want to take people who never have a platform, and I'm going to give them my platform by a podcast and talk about their story.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go around America, and I'm going to give all these incredible people who are out living their life and who are out making their world a better place, just the world around them a better place. And I'm going to go give them the platform who will never have the platform. And I'm going to go show how great they are, because no politician's ever going to make America great again. Nobody in power. There's not going to be there's never going to be anybody like that that's going to make America great again. America's already great. And I'm going to go show the world why America is great by showing all these incredible people that make up America.
That's powerful, Matt. So this idea and notion of service, like, how can I help other people, from the podcast to the actions that earned you the Medal of Honor? Is this something that you've learned? Is this something that you have developed, or were you born with this heart of service? Walk me around that a little bit.
No, I mean, I actually had the same conversation, man, this morning. Like right before we had this, me and my camera guy, he was kind of asking me the same thing. And I will say that I think that something instilled in me to always want to help the underdog, right? Because I was the underdog. I was never the fastest. I was never the smartest. I never looked the best. I was never the best in shape. I had heart, right? And that's what my dad taught me. I always realized what I was, but I'm going to use that, right? I'm going to use what I am. Like, I'm not the best. So I think that's what part of it was. But the other piece of it is, I mean, I can remember at 16 or 17 years old, I had my driver's license. And I remember driving down the road. I can tell you exactly where it was at. It was in Campbellsville, Kentucky, right across from the McDonald's over there. There's now a gas station on the right. And there's like this little apartment complex on the left over there. And I had left McDonald's that morning. You usually cruise the strip over there. And I seen this older guy beating up this woman. I was 16. And I pulled my Trailblazer over, or 17. I had my Trailblazer, so it's 17. I pulled my Trailblazer over and I got out and I beat the shit out of this guy.
Really?
Some 30 or 40-year-old man, right? I mean, because I seen him slam his girlfriend or wife or what. I didn't get out and ask any questions, off the hood of the car. And I just pulled my car over. I remember pulling in there and I just got out and I just fought this guy. So I think there was always that piece of it in me, right? I hate seeing people suffer, but I tell you the point that really changed it, because when I got in the Marine Corps, I was a cocky guy. Listen, I lived my craft, right? I mean, I lived it. I loved it. I owned it. I wanted to be the best. And, I was a team leader and I'd accomplished quite a bit.
And they train that into you as well, though, too, right?
Yeah, I think it's instilled in you, right? I mean, you're around a bunch of alpha males, right? I mean, you're around
exactly.
A bunch of people who they clash each other. And if you come out one day and you even act halfway weak, you're going to get the sick chick gets pecked, right?
Yeah.
So, and you have to have that mentality to instill that confidence in a bunch of alpha males, right? And so I think it's part of the mindset. But, even in Afghanistan, this is how dumb I was. I mean, I'm gonna really show myself here. Is I went into that valley on September 8, 2009 that day. Man, I really thought and believed that there's no situation I couldn't handle. Like, I never thought if I was going to be there, I could fix it, is what I felt like, right? I go in there and then I come out at the end of the day, everything that I cared about, everything that I loved was taken away from me in one day. Everything.
How so?
Everything I cared about. I mean, I let my guys down, my honor, my commitment, my loyalty to my teammates, letting them down and them dying and coming out, no team. I mean, everything that I cared about was gone that day. I mean, I lost. I got my ass kicked. I just remember telling myself, I'm going to live the rest of my life to make other people happy. And that's where I'm going to get my satisfaction, is if I can just make somebody's life better by giving them a compliment. I can remember finding my teammates. I mean, I didn't physically die that day with them, but that Dakota Meyer died right there. And I've just committed my life to trying to make the world a better place. Like, that's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. I just want to make the world a better place. People ask me all the time, so what's your goals in life? I want to change the world. And I tell everybody that works for me. I mean, I can bring my camera guy over here right now. Everybody that works for me, I say one thing to them. My goal is to change the world. And if that's too big for you to believe in, then you don't need to be on my team.
How have you changed after the military? I mean, what specifically has changed? It sounds like a lot of your mindset. And I look, man, from the outside looking in, and the way that I understand it is that you rescued 12 people from that valley. But the way I hear you say it is that you let those guys down.
Yeah, I mean, I know people say, well, that's the glass half empty mindset, but it's not. I mean, I think you have to own your failures too, right? I mean, you can't listen. At the end of the day, I went back to an outpost and I walked into a room. I mean, literally the room, the house that we lived in on that outpost. I walked in and every guy that slept in that same room and every guy that came over with me and every guy that lived on that and ate and drank and then went on every mission with me, I walked in that room. I walked out of it on Monday and I walked back into it on Wednesday, and I was packing up every other guy that slept in that room's stuff to send home to their family. And so, I did fail. You can't, people say, oh, well, you didn't fail. You didn't this. No, I did. I went in with an objective to get my teammates out. My teammates were expecting me to get them out. None of them made it home. And so that's a failure. You have to own that. You have to learn it. And I tell people all the time, you're going to get tested one day. No matter what, you're going to be tested. You don't know where it's going to be at. It could be at the next concert. It could be the next red light. It could be the next shopping center. It could be the next mall. It could be, hell, who knows? It could be at the gym. Who knows? But you're going to be tested. And whether you succeed or fail, the decision's already made when that moment happens. It's going to be all those decisions, those millions of decisions that were made up to that point. And I got tested and I failed. And that's just part of it, you know, and I have to own that and I have to accept it. But I think that it's changed me to be a better person, to give more than I take. And it's gave me a mindset to, hey, you know what? Like, I just want to stop worrying about Dakota and I just want to worry about everybody else around me.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool because I look at a lot of guys who have an experience, maybe not as drastic or dramatic as that, but have an experience and use it as an opportunity or an excuse to implode, right? To self-destruct. And it sounds like you've taken the exact opposite route and used it as an opportunity to thrive and help others thrive.
Well, I do. I mean, I've self-destructed. I mean, I've been down that road, you know, and I've been down it. And I have to understand that I'm not, when I go down that road, I have to understand that I'm not living a life worthy of what those guys would have wanted me to. You know, I answer to that. And I agree with you. I mean, look, you have an option. Whether you succeed or you fail, it's all just a moment in time. A win lasts no longer than a loss does. It just lasts till the next test, right? I mean, that's it. I think that the people who use it as an excuse, they choose to do that. They choose to become the victim. And I think that the day you become the victim is the day that you allow yourself to become the victim. And it's because you made that choice to become the victim.
How did you turn yourself from a victim after this experience into somebody who owns his life, and you've got Own the Dash and Owning It podcast? I mean, how did you make that transition?
I'm still transitioning every day. It's a struggle every day. Like, don't let me sound like I got it all together, because I struggle with it every day, man. I mean, every day it's a choice when I get out of bed of what's my day going to be like. I mean, every day. But I mean, it was in 2010. I was drinking a bottle of Crown every day. I was just, man, I was a train wreck. You know, I was that guy, right? The guy blaming everybody. You don't get it, right? You know, the guy that looks at you instead of wants to answer the question. Well, you haven't been there. You don't know what it's like, right? You know that cop-out guy, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I would use that against people, right? Instead of just facing it. If they didn't tell me what I wanted to hear, I'd cut them out and I would use that answer. You know, well, that's bullshit. You've never been through what I've been through. To belittle them, right? When they were really just trying to tell me what I needed to hear. Man, one day I was driving down the road. It's crazy because now in Kentucky, this road that I'm talking about is now called the Dakota Meyer Highway.
Really?
And yeah, it's so crazy how it comes around. But I was driving down that road, man. One night I had left. I don't remember where I left from. And my buddy, a close buddy of mine I grew up with, his shop is on that road. And it's like they got like a big welding shop. And I pulled over in that shop. And man, I was just down. I don't know why. You know, September's always a hard month because that's when I lost my team. And I pulled over and I remember I sent a text out. I think I said something like, I just can't do this anymore. And I pulled over and I got my Glock out and I stuck it to my head and squeezed the trigger. It didn't go off. Somebody had unloaded it.
Oh, man.
And I always keep all my guns loaded. Everyone, I mean, I can pull a gun out of a drawer here and they're all loaded. And I'd shot it the day before, man. I mean, I'd shot it the day before. I was as sure as shit that it was loaded, and it didn't go off. I sobered up, and I made a deal with myself. I said, if I'm going to keep living life the way that I'm living, just rack another round into it and get it over with. If you're going to go around and you're going to treat people the way you do, and you're going to just waste your life, then just go ahead and get off earth and stop wasting it. Just go ahead and make that decision and do it. And I sat there for a minute, and I said, but if I put my vehicle in drive, I'll never look back. And I sat there for a few minutes. I put my car in drive and I got home and that was it.
What was and I don't want to make it sound like it was a switch on the wall that you just flipped. I mean, you talk about this, you're still going through it, but what do you do at that moment? So you put the car in drive and you get home and you're like, okay, now what? I've made the decision. Now what do I do?
Well, you start making better decisions. I mean, you start looking around and seeing what's causing you to be this way, right? You got to start really digging deep down. You have to make the choice that you don't want to be that way anymore. And that's what I made a deal with myself. I looked in the mirror and said, you know, where can I start? And I started chipping away, right? It's like eating an elephant, you know, one bite at a time. And I started chipping away saying, look, I'm going to cut back on the booze. You know, I'm going to start surrounding myself. I mean, I think it's the biggest piece of this. The biggest piece of it is by surrounding yourself with people who make you better. Like if you surround yourself with people who tell you what you want to hear, I mean, that ain't a team. If you don't surround yourself with people who hold you accountable, I mean, the people I was surrounding myself with were enabling me to do it. if you start hearing, well, you've been through a lot, and then that's justifiable, right? I mean, nobody could imagine what you've gone through. No, that's bullshit. You know what? Your worst day is no worse than my worst day. They're both equivalent in our scope of our lens of life. So you don't have any more reason to be an asshole than I do, and I don't have any more reason to be an asshole than you do. That's kind of what I had to accept. I had to look in the mirror and stop blaming everyone around me, and I had to start blaming number one. I need to start working on number one, and that's what I had to do. So I did. I cut down the drinking, right? First, I had to be who I was. I mean, shit, I've never made good decisions when I was drinking. So you got to start looking at what you can't sit here. I hate the people who say, well, I drink because I have PTSD. Oh, no, you don't. No. You drink because you're an alcoholic. No, you can go get help for PTSD. Don't ever blame you getting drunk and driving drunk and you being an asshole and this and that on, you see what I'm saying? Like, you still make the choice. I mean, I have the worst anxiety in the world. I have the worst anxiety in the world. I wake up at least once a month with my veneers. My veneers will come off, or I'll be puking, be crying in the fucking floor. I mean, it's still there every day. But does that give me the right to get up and lay in my bed for a week straight and drink myself away? Does that give me the, do I try to find a healthier way to do it, right? I mean, for me, going to On It, that's where my team is. The Tim Kennedys, the Aubrey Marcus, the Lance Armstrongs, I surround myself by people that I could never imagine myself being, because that way it's like, what, if you shoot for the stars and you hit the moon, look what you gained, right? It's about that team keeping you accountable.
How did you start to develop this team? Because you're talking about some high caliber guys. I know you work out with these guys. You live in the same area. How do you start reaching out and connecting with the people who are going to push you, not, like you say, enable you to continue the current path?
Well, they attract each other. You start finding the team. You start looking at people saying, man, that guy right there or that girl right there, hey, they're badasses. They're living it every day. You surround yourself by people where you say, I don't know how they do it, right? Like, those are the words you got to look for with people that you want to be surrounded by. Like, I don't know how they do it. I just wish I could do half of what they do, right? You look at those things in your mindset. Those are the types of people you surround yourself with, right? Not the people who are like, yeah, man, that guy, that's a fun guy. He's a fun guy, or you know what I mean? Like, obviously you got to have all types in the team, right? But the people who hold you accountable, they have to, and it's always changing. Like I still am surrounded by Chris Schmidt, Toby Young, by guys back in Kentucky who got me out of this rut. I'm telling you right now, if it wasn't for people like Chris Schmidt and Toby Young and Ann Young and Becca Schmidt, Dean Adams, I would be dead. I would be dead. I would be in a ditch somewhere, dead. No doubt. The General Amoses, the Bonnie Amoses. I can go down the whole list of people who have impacted me at some segment along this journey, and you have to continue to want to be better. You know what I mean? Like, you have to continue to want to be better and surround yourself by better people all the time. And I'm just fortunate enough to go to the gym, and I started out the gym with Tim Kennedy and Shane Steiner. They invited me, right? And I went in there and I started working out with Eric Leha, with Juan Leha. I started working out with them, Isik. All of them in there, all the trainers in there. But it was an environment that they wanted to empower each other. Like, they're all, it's all competition, but it's all about, making each other better every day. And, it was just, that's how you'd start it, right?
Sure.
You're only what you surround yourself by. You can't do anything in life by yourself. You can't name one thing in your life that you do on a daily basis that you don't have to rely on somebody else and somebody else doesn't rely on you. There's nothing. So build your team.
Gentlemen, just a quick pause to talk with you about our show sponsor, Health IQ. I've talked about them in the past, but look, guys, as you know, it's our job to protect and provide. I believe that responsibility continues after we're gone. And the best way to ensure your family is taken care of, at least financially, is to have life insurance in place. But that doesn't mean that you need to overpay for it. Health IQ is using science, data, they're using stats to ensure that those who live a healthy lifestyle save money on their life insurance. If you're healthy, you should have some perks to the cost of insurance, and that's exactly what you'll have with Health IQ. They're saving some people up to 33% on the cost of their insurance. So, like saving money on car insurance for being a good driver, Health IQ helps you save money on your life insurance for being healthy. Head to healthiq.com/orderofman. You can get a free quote and also see if you qualify to save money on your life insurance. That's healthiq.com/orderofman. Now, gentlemen, back to my conversation with Dakota. So how did the concept of own the dash? Well, first of all, let me back up. Let's explain what that is, because that concept to me is awesome. I love it. Explain what that is, explain how it came about, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so own the dash, one thing that, look, I wear on my wrist, my bracelet, my teammates' names on it every day. Own the dash came from Linda Ellis wrote a poem called The Dash. I won't quote it all the way, but basically it says, like, she talked about how, because I'm always the guy who's trying to figure out what is success. What is success? Like, everybody defines success and this and that. What is success? And so one day my buddy gave me this speech and it was Linda Ellis. And she said something like, she read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He spoke the following words with the day you were born, and then said the last, the following day with tears. And so, on your tombstone, your last living legacy, you got the day you were born and the day you died. Which both of those days are the only 2 days in life that you don't have any choices.
Sure.
Right? I mean, you don't have any choices. I know this sounds so crazy, but those 2 days are the most insignificant days of your life. I think that when you're born, that they should give you a sign that says you're dying now. Because you are. You know what I mean? And so she said what matters most of all is the dash in between. And I thought about it, man. It really hit home because, I've seen so many buddies, so much life, man. I've seen so many people die. I've seen so many people, how life is over, right? This how quick, I've seen how quick life can be over. And she also talks about it. And it doesn't matter how much your life matters. It's not about the cars or the cash or the houses. It's not about what you have. It's about how people remember you. And then it hit home to me even more. I'm like, okay, so I've been to a lot of funerals. Nobody ever talks about the day you were born or the day you died. They get up there and they unfold this note, this paper that they jotted down, these great memories, right? Because they're trying to make a great time, memorable time out of a bad day. And it's like, you write that for them. So you can own that part of it. So how do you own your dash? How do you own your dash? You can do that. You can't own how long it is, but you can own what it looks like. You can own and you can create and make it be whatever you want to be. And you have to do that. Like, what matters the most, I think what true success is what people say about you at your funeral.
Yeah, that legacy, right?
Your legacy, right? Your legacy. And that's where the own the dash concept comes from is own your dash every day. Wake up every single day and find something else to put on that piece of paper for people around you of what they're going to say.
When you look around at the people around you and even yourself where you guys are succeeding, what does owning the dash actually look like? What are the things that you're doing and implementing in your life to own your life?
Man, I'm hoping to go out and empower people, right? Look, me and you, we can only do so much. We can only impact so much. But Admiral McRaven, right?
Yeah.
So, you heard his speech where he talks about how if I just impact, 12 people, I think. And then those 12 people just impact 12 people. In one generation, everybody, if I worry about 12 people around me and the same 12 people worry about 12 people around them, everybody's going to be collected. So I'm trying to build a community of people who want to go out and inspire and empower people to be the best them every single day. And so just like with putting the videos up, the podcast, obviously, right? The podcast. I think people are looking for hope. I'll never forget, I was at a speech in Las Vegas one time and I was speaking. It was probably like 2,000 or 3,000 people. And I said all these great things, and and this woman stood up, and she had to be the gutsiest person in that room. I would have never asked a question, right? She stood up, and she said, okay, Dakota, I listened to all your concepts. I believe all your concepts. I agree with all your concepts, but how do I get people to believe in a world like I believed in? So what it told me is people see there's a problem. They recognize that there's a problem in America. They know what the solution is. They just don't know how to do it. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build this community, whether it's virtually through a podcast of inspiring people to go out. No matter how bad your day is, there's other people who do it every day to inspire and build a community of people who believe. You have to, before you can go do anything, you have to believe you can do it. And so I'm trying to be that voice of inspiring and lighting a fire inside of Americans that make them want to go out and believe in this country. And instead of reading all this negative on the news, and I want to give them a place to go to where they know that they can leave there and they know that they're going to be more inspired and empowered to go out and be better and go ahead and continue on with the mission of making America the best that it can be.
It's a really interesting perspective. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, how do I help my son? Or how do I help my nephew? Or how do I help my coworker who's dealing with whatever they're dealing with. And I think this is what you're talking about. Do you have any ideas or strategies for inspiring others to do and be something more?
Yeah, you have to be doing it yourself first. You inspire your kids by living it. You inspire the people around you by living it and by showing them, by being the constant in the whole equation. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be what you want to see people be. So you start there. And then, because I was real big on like kind of what you're talking about of what are these concepts that we can, like these steps to give people to help do this, right?
Sure, right.
And so I had started that. And I was like, I'm going to be wrong if I do this, because guess what? It's kind of like the same reason that public education is failing. You can't have one lesson plan for 10 different kids.
Makes sense. Yeah, exactly.
Here's what you have to do. It's a simple concept. You have to be great every single day. You have to give everything you can every single day, whether it's 50%, 110% tomorrow, or 20%. You got to give it all. You got to show that. But also you have to care about other people more than you care about yourself. And then you take those two concepts and then you find a way to empower individuals through accountability to be the best them every single day. And everybody's going to be different. Have you ever jumped in two cars and drove two cars the same way?
No, of course not.
Of course not. So you can't do the same thing with two different people, right? I mean, there's going to be some people, it's like a football team, right? Like you have to figure out who your quarterback is. I promise if you have a offensive guard playing quarterback in your team, your whole team's screwed, right?
Right. Yep,
so you
exactly.
have to figure out what people are good at. You got to figure out what their strengths are. And then you figure out, because they all have a purpose. That's the first thing you have to realize. There's nobody on the team that's more important than the other. There's nobody. And so you have to reinforce that to them, whether it's the person sweeping the floors after the concert, or it's the person who's sitting up there and who is performing at the concert. Every single one of them are important for the whole thing to work. They're all important for the overall success of the organization. And you have to empower them, and you have to let them know that you're proud of them to do that. You appreciate them to do that.
So one thing I'm hearing in this conversation is you and the desire to serve other people and help other people. I mean, that's apparent and that's obvious just in our conversation and me getting to know you a little bit outside of this conversation. How do you personally find the balance, if that's the right word, between serving other people, but also serving yourself and taking care of yourself so that you have the capacity to serve others?
Well, I'm still working on that one, man. I honestly, like I feed off of inspiring others. If I can't do that, if you took that away from me, man, I'd be gone. I mean, and that's a part that I'm still struggling with, right? Is of seeing the worth in myself to put time back in myself. You know what I mean? Like, I feel guilty going to the gym to work out because I feel like I could be doing something to help others. I have a lot of guilt because of that. So that's we're all working to be better, but people around me, like seeing that I'm helping others helps me, right? Like I see people and people call me out, it helps me be a better person. So, you know, I mean, it's a hard balance. That's one thing that I could definitely use a lot of work on, is that balance.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are that way, and it's important. You know, I found in my life it's important for me to find a way to take care of myself so I don't exhaust myself and limit my capability and capacity to serve other people.
Yeah. I mean, because, you know, here's the thing. I mean, if you're not, you know, the day that you're out in the middle of the ocean and you can't swim, you can't save anybody else.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You can't save anybody drowning around you. You know what I mean? It is a balance, but, you know, it's about that team, though. It's about that team around you, you know, that they have to be, you know, that's part of that team that has to be able to call you out. And then you have to trust them and their judgment to listen.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Well, Dakota, we're bumping up against time, man. We could talk about this stuff all day. And I want to give the guys, of course, an opportunity to connect with you because there's so much more here and so much more that you can share and have shared. So I appreciate that. Before we wind things down, I want to ask you a couple additional questions. The first one is, what does it mean to be a man?
You know, what does it mean to be a man? I mean, you know, to me, being a man is living a life of honor, is being a protector, is being someone worthy of the title man, right? I mean, I think that you have to earn it every single day, right? You can't be a shitbag. You can't treat people like shit and then call yourself a man. You can't treat women like shit and call yourself a man. You can't watch and know that bad shit's going on and turn your eye and call yourself a man. Every day you should be sharpening that steel. Every day you should be sharpening that blade because people rely on you. And that's part of, you know, having and being able to call yourself a man you have to live a life of honor. You have to be able to take the hits, right? I mean, you have to do that. And you have to also be very respectful and knowing where you strike back. Some people think being a man is going out and being this meat knuckle dragging. I don't think that that's it. I mean, I think being a man is like, it's a holistic approach of knowing your weaknesses and working on those, but also knowing your strengths and having those in the bag at any time. But I think at the end of the day, it's living a life of honor and living a life of putting others first. And it's living a life of lending a hand up to people, even whether they deserve it or not. It's not your choice to decide whether somebody deserves help or they don't deserve help. It's just your honor and duty to do that.
It's awesome, man. And you're obviously somebody from my perspective who's embodying what that means. So I appreciate that of you. How do we connect with you? How do we learn more about you, listen to the podcast, get tapped into what you're doing?
Yeah, man. Look, listen to the podcast. So you're going to come on it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to take you up on that. I'm going to come down and train with you guys down there too.
I'm in. That'd be great.
Run circles around me, I'm sure, but we'll do it all the same.
I don't know, man. Listen, the camera makes me look good. No, I mean, connect with me on my daily vlog. I do that on YouTube, the Dakota Meyer YouTube. I also have the On the Dash YouTube where I put up my podcast, the video podcast. You can check me out on Twitter. I don't usually use Twitter that much, right? But I get on there sometimes to wreak a little bit of havoc. Check me out on Facebook. You can go to onthedash.us where we've got some product up. And I put up some blogs and stuff and try to just, show the world just how great people are. So, that's where you can connect with me. The Instagram, Dakota Meyer 0317 on the Instagram. So go check me out.
Right on, man. We'll link all that up so the guys can connect. I got to tell you, I've been excited about having this conversation with you and obviously lived up to the hype, but I appreciate your level of humility and the fact that you are still on the journey. You acknowledge that. Of course, appreciate your service to the country and the service that you continue to render towards everybody you come in contact with, man. I can't say enough about the good you're doing and how much I appreciate you for what you do.
No, thank you, man. Thank you for having me on. I mean, this is awesome. I will say this is one of the best podcasts I've been on, so I appreciate it, man.
You probably tell that to all the podcasters.
No, I don't either. No, I don't either.
Right on, man. Well, I'm looking forward to connecting down in Austin and getting to know you a little bit better and spending some time together.
All right, thanks, man. I hope you have a great day.
There it is, guys. Such a powerful, powerful conversation with, again, one of the most humble men I've met, considering all of the amazing, amazing accomplishments that Dakota has had in his life. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, I'm sure that you did. Please let me and Dakota know. We both want to hear from you. You can do that on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you spend your social media time and attention. We are there. We want to hear from you. And more important than just, again, the information that we're sharing, it's the application. So as you tag us, as you share this stuff with us, let us know what you're actually doing in your life to enhance your life, your family's life, your business, your community, every area that we as men are required and frankly have a responsibility and obligation to show up. Again, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are. Last announcements as we close things down today. Again, 2 days away from the book launch. It would mean the world to me if you would head over to orderofman.com/book, pick up a copy of the book for yourself, pick up a copy for your dad, your brother, your friend, your colleague, your coworker. More men need to hear about this. And when you do read the book, please, if you would, this will go a long way in spreading the message that more men need to hear. Leave us a rating and review on Amazon. And of course, the visibility for that book will greatly improve when you do that. And I would appreciate any help that you could in getting this message out. Guys, I am thankful for you. I'm thankful that you're tuning in each and every week. I'm just as inspired by the stories that I see and what I hear from you guys as I hope that you are from me. So know that, and let's continue to work on getting this message out to the masses. Thanks again, guys. I hope to see you next week. But until then, take action and become the man you are meant to be.
Thank you for listening to the Order of Man podcast. If you're ready to take charge of your life and be more of the man you were meant to be, we invite you to join the Order at orderofman.com.